positions.
Yeah, well, I think this is one of my favorite things about the game itself is, we can tell a story that nobody else can tell. You can start out as the defensive coordinator, at Sam Houston and wind up as a head coach at Texas. That's a career lifespan that you can do in this game that you can't do in any other professional game. So it's so great to be able to start out that way. So yeah, you can start out as an offensive, defensive coordinator if you want to, or the head coach. You have control of both sides of the ball when you're playing. So it's really kind of a title thing, and you're kind of building yourself up that way. But it's kind of a chance to get out here and start as a coordinator if you want to, or you can be a head coach.
As we take a look at Console 2 right now, this is another thing that's in this game that I really like. You have obviously the ability to create your own coach, but there is one that's auto-generated for you. No real coaches are in the game, so this is your auto-generated idea, and it gives you a little bit of head start.
That's right. So you have the option to go with a created coach, where you can create your own custom coach and then build them up starting at level 1, or you can use the existing coach. And here we have someone who is very special to us, LeVar Ogden, and there's a fun little story behind this of when we were early in development. We had fictional rosters in there just as placeholder content, and Texas had a running back, LeVar Ogden, and this guy was incredible. You did not want to play LeVar Ogden, you wanted to play as LeVar Ogden, and that was our joke internally.
Choose a coach or create a coach.
So a little nod here to our friend LeVar Ogden.
Did you use my face as a scan for LeVar Ogden? Can we talk about this for a second?
That's actually scary. Look at that.
Can we talk about this for a moment? Is it? Well, do I get royalties from this?
I mean, as an employee, I think we're covered. Yeah.
Don't say employee. I'm gonna get people in my DMs. Hold on. I don't. Just because I'm
I've met Ben Hartman. He's a cool dude.
Chat, no, not like this. Let's talk about your 3 options as you get into the game: motivator, recruiter, tactician. What are the differences between these options as you're selecting your coach?
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about building the skill tree again and going through this, we looked at what are the different elements of being a head coach or being a coordinator as well. Think about the old game. Everyone just built up recruiter first and then did everything after that with the other tree. And we also had separate trees between coordinators and the head coach. Now they're all the same. So as you start as a coordinator and move up to head coach, you're just moving up the same ladder. But also, too, you start out, there are 3 base trees that you can build from: motivator, recruiter, tactician. And then from there, Chad, you can talk about kind of the hybrid.
I'm going to be a recruiter, baby.
Yeah, so you got your 3 base archetypes. And as we talked about in the blog, right, we really wanted to have a rock, paper, and scissors relationship between these different archetypes with no single dominant progression path, right? You can kind of choose your own path, and you're ultimately trying to get to that program builder CEO where there's no singular path.
I like the tactician part, though. I love all 3, really, but we got to recruit, man.
There were these 3 core ones, but they also sometimes were a blend of 2, right? So motivator,
I love the X's and O's.
Recruiter, tactician, and so you can go in there as well and build up 2 of them, become that hybrid coach, and get kind of special abilities in there as well.
Really cool. So let's get into these. What are you guys thinking early about who you're going to be? Who's Sam Houston going to be represented by?
So I think as Sam Houston, I think my plan here is I'm going to start out as a motivator, because I'm going to take the players I have and try to progress them to be the best they can be. And then I'll work down the line in either tactician or recruiter, kind of shore up some other pieces with that. One thing that's really cool about this too is your talents you have stack. So with your other coordinators that you have on your team, so you can go through and kind of either find guys who are going to make your team better, or just accentuate what you're doing.
Oh, you can do apparel too, huh?
What you're not doing well.
Whereas Texas, you've got a sort of different option. You're in that recruiting hotbed as sort of the top thing. Is that where recruiter may be a better choice?
Yep, I'm in a win now mode, so I'm going to go recruiter, but then I'm thinking also as well as the transfer portal aspect of recruiting as well, because they'll both play in there as well, as we'll talk about a little bit later.
By the way, can we take a look at Console 1 for just a second? The customizability of these coaches. This is unbelievable. I don't know if we've seen this much customizability in a sports game. Just so many options when you're creating your own coach to really make your own feel.
Yeah. So, we're going through here. I'm looking at all the different heads that you can choose from right now, trying to make a selection of what I'm going to start with. But I can come back and take a look at the info here as well. So what kind of playbook do you want to run?
Did you pick Jason Derulo? That's wild.
What playbooks do you want to run? Where your alma mater is?
So you can pick any playbook inside of Dynasty. You're not tied to the school that you're at.
You're not tied to the school you were at, but also too, you can create a custom playbook and use that as well. Where's your pipeline set up? That will help you in recruiting. All the different pieces here that you can do to customize your coach and make your selection of what you're going to do.
So I could take a job at Sam Houston, but be from California, have California be my pipeline.
It will help you on the recruiting trail as far as interest from players.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, I love these 2 screens because we got 2 different feels. On one side, the Sam Houston has only been in the FBS for 1 year, so you got 1 year. But if you look at the Texas side, you've got 20-year history you can look through. And this will update, as I understand, throughout your dynasty. So you're a couple years in, you're going to see this update.
That's right. This is a rolling 20 years. So as you're progressing and playing through your dynasty experience, you'll be able to see year by year looking back when you're accepting a new job in the carousel, which we'll talk about, but then also looking at your track record.
Skip back
how
14,
you played.
15, 16. There are a lot of Texas fans out there.
You want me to hang around here?
Go back to Vince Young. Vince Young had a great year. Remember that? Remember how much fun we had back then?
We're in a new era now with our friend Always Be Cruton.
This is a really fun look back. It's also a great way to kind of teach new college football fans about history. Like, I think that I love that about just this first part of the game is taking over school and seeing where they've been and where they are now.
I mean, that's one of my things I love most about the game too. Is it's a teaching tool for the sport. You'll learn about rivalries. You'll learn about different histories of schools, things like that. It's just such a great way to teach people about the sport.
So we start things off. Texas, obviously the goal is win 10 games. I mean, at Texas, you don't get any prizes for being 500. Whereas Sam Houston State, you're just looking to improve on last year, get those 4 games, and that's really the stark contrast. Depends what people really want from their experiences. Whether you want to take over that big school and need the high expectations, or maybe start somewhere small and build up from there.
Yeah, I mean, as they say, right? You lose big first, then you lose small, then you win small, then you win big. That's program building. All
right, let's sign those contracts and get ready to go. By the way, I love these little interstitial screens with the play art getting drawn on the chalkboard. Feels somehow old school and new. Now, before we get into
set up recruiting board and scout prospects. All right.
Because this is as deep of a dive as you're going to get. I know there are going to be a lot of people that are going to see this and going to have
custom
to
schedules, top stories, upgrade coach skills.
Ben, I just wanted to take a minute to just take a step back. You have been here. You worked on the old game. You watched it go away. You watched it come back. And I know the excitement has been as big as we've ever seen it. I'm just curious what this means to you to see something that you love go away for a while, but then be able to contribute it and bring it back these days. Like, how cool that is.
I mean, I keep saying, like, it's so surreal to be at this moment, to be here, to be talking to you, to be talking to everybody about what we've been doing and this 3-year journey that we've been on. We've rebuilt 15 years worth of features in 3 years. This team has done such a tremendous job, and just it's wild to see the passion. I think that was one of the things I had as somebody who was on the game for a decade, was a concern, can we recapture that magic? Can we bring back that team that we had before? And I think we have. You look at some of these people that we have brought in from all throughout the industry, people who worked in the game before who've come back, who had left EA. Some of us that were true believers that never left, that may have moved on to do other things. I left development. I was in business affairs. I never thought that I would be back in this spot. But as the old Bear Bryant quote goes, when mama calls, you come running. So I had the opportunity to come back, and so I took that to come back in. But then I get to work with this next generation of guys like Chad, that are just inspirations to me, to see a younger version of myself almost in a way, that just has that passion, has that itch to be able to make an amazing college football game.
And what I've loved seeing, I think the stories that are some of my favorites are seeing, guys like myself who, when this game went away 10 years ago, I was 25, now I'm 35, and I've got a kid of my own, and being able to grow up with this game and show my kid this game, and all these dads and moms out there who are like, I get to play with my kid and show them what I was doing when I was their age. I think that's really the cool part.
Well, I also think, too, one of my favorite parts about this are the stories that people tell about their dynasties and the memories they have about their dynasties. There's players that people have recruited that they think about like they're real players. And now we're going to have a whole new generation of people go through those experiences. The Athletic had a great article yesterday just talking about some of their memories of dynasties of the past. And guys like Max Hall were talking about all the things that they used to do. Amazing stuff. It was so much fun just to read that and just memory lane stuff. And now they're going to have a chance to go and do brand new things going forward. It's just so much fun to see.
Chad, I want to see you guys show some love in the chat, because I know everybody who's out there right now watching, who's been watching all day long, is just excited as we are to get this game out there. Let's get into it. Let's show off. I mean, this is I don't really know where to start. I don't know where to start. So let's just showcase what let's go to console 2. Let's show off Texas first. Also, Always Be Cruton is a crazy name. But I think this is an interesting thing that people aren't really going to know how to approach when they first open the game.
Yeah, so this is our coach archetypes and abilities screen here, right? So you have the spider graph in the middle that will start to morph and shape over time as you spend in these various archetypes. So we talked about the 3 base archetypes, right? Recruiter, tactician, and motivator, and then we have our hybrids that sit in between them, and then program builder and CEO that are kind of a wrapper over the top of it all. So each archetype has unlock requirements associated with them. So we look at the strategist here, you'll see that there's a requirement to win 4 bowl games, then you're also going to spend 25 coach points in tactician and 25 in recruiter. So once you meet those, it'll then be available for purchase, and you can dive in and actually buy the abilities within that specific archetype. Every archetype also has a perk, which is something to think about when you're looking at your different archetypes you want to go after. So you'll have an active archetype, that's what you've spent the most in at that given point. And so if we look at the recruiter here, we see we have an active archetype perk of earning extra XP when signing a recruit. So when you're performing that action, you'll actually be able to progress your coach even faster because you're an expert in that area. So if we dive into recruiting here, you'll see one of the key things that we broke out this year was
That's what I want to see, the recruiter part.
Different archetypes, a few of them. I think there's 3 of them in total, are broken down by position group, which allows us to get much more granular in how you're actually progressing your coach, but then also thinking about the coaching, the coordinator side of how they actually complement you.
Elite recruiter, wow.
So you can see here I can actually spend
50 in recruiter.
Quarterbacks, halfbacks, wide receivers, offensive line, and so on and so forth. And then I can actually go ahead and unlock the elite recruiter here as well. So for me, I've got a good young quarterback room, right? Arch Manning's on the roster as well. He'll be coming up the ranks. But I'm going to continue to invest in quarterbacks because it's the most important position in football. And then also they could always leave in the transfer portal.
I mean, Quinn Ewers is going to be starting. Arch Manning is sitting there for a while. He might look elsewhere at the end of the season. Now, on the flip side, you're looking Sam Houston State, the motivator. It's all built around building your team that you have available to you right now.
Progression, right? Getting you a chance to really try and do things that are going to help you both on the field. You know, we think about the confidence and composure piece, but also too, it's that progression of your players throughout the course of their career, trying to get them boosts along the way. You know, just like with the recruiter, you've got the motivator, then you get into the master motivator, which is kind of a secondary version of that tree, even more advancement of your skills. But when you think about too, like when you look at the overall skill tree map here, where you're building is where you're going to decide how you want to get to those archetypes that are hybrids. You know, if you start going down one path and start going to another, that's going to open up a specific hybrid for you, all trying to get up to those top program builder and CEO trees.
It's all about, the word I keep coming back to is customizability.
Yeah.
You can really coach who you want to be.
So yeah, so if you take a look at Chad's screen real quick here, this is an example here where you're seeing how you can look at all 3 coaches at once and overlay their skills on top of each other to get that spider graph view of where are my coaches good at? Where are my deficiencies? Where are my strengths? How are my coaches kind of working together to be the best program they can be?
Right, and the big thing here, right, so you can do this a couple different ways. You have the opportunity, everything's stacked, right? All your abilities stack across your head coach, your offense coordinator, defensive coordinator. So I can say, hey, I'm going all in on talent acquisition and recruiting, and we can just all be over there and we'll be very, very powerful there, but you may be lacking in some other areas, right, as well. Or you can go with more of a balanced approach. There's multiple different paths you can take here and how you want to build your staff through the coaching carousel.
Hey guys, this is just coaching. This is just the coaches at this point. Let's go take a dive into recruiting because, and I want to set everybody up with this. There's a lot. This is a very
here we go at the prospect
feature of the game, and I think when you first look at it, this is before week 0. This is you first sign your coach. This is setting up your board, and we were talking.
I guess you got to go by team needs though first.
This is as important as anything. This is the most important when it comes to building your program, setting this up. So don't skip through this first initial week. Your thought is to get to the game first. But if you're looking to build multiple years, how important this initial building of your program
it has red when it says need. Oh, that helps you out. Okay. You don't really have to search the position. It's already telling you where your needs are.
Changes along the way. Players are going to opt out, to go elsewhere, close you out, that sort of thing. You'll get your commits, but really making sure you keep that board solid, and also too an eye for what the transfer portal might bring and where your deficiencies are. If we were going through in a one earlier looking at it, and I couldn't get anybody that was a quarterback that was really super high on my list, so I was starting to think, okay, maybe the transfer portal might be where I go for a quarterback this year.
So before we start doing recruiting, let's break this down column by column, because I think some of these are self-explanatory and some of these are not. So Chad, when you look at that first column, that's your target column. So if I see a green dot, that's a person who's interested in coming to my school. If I hit A to target them, it'll turn into a target. That's pretty straightforward, but I think I see the green dot and people immediately go, oh, that means I'm recruiting them. No, that just means they're interested in your school.
That's right. The green dot just means that they're interested in you. You're somewhere in their top 10, and then you can go ahead and add them to your board, right? So this is, like Ben was talking about, this is a very, very important stage of recruiting. We talk about having a staged recruiting experience where stage 1 is all about discovery. All right, and discovery starts with prospect identification here, where I'm looking for those players who are going to be a good fit with my program and someone who I can ultimately get on campus and then have them become a playmaker someday. So we look at this prospect list here, we'll see that on the right trigger we're immediately filtered to the recommended tab. So this is a curated list of recruits who align with you in some capacity using our AI CPU recruiting logic of who the CPU would go after and target. And that could be because they're interested in you, they're from your home state, they're from your home pipeline, and they're also potentially a team need, right? So if we look at this need column here, you see anyone who is
a lot of recruits from Texas.
Meaning you have a hole on your
must be a pipeline.
So you need to go fill. they will have a need tag here, and we can pull up the team needs as well by pressing R3 at any point.
Yeah, I love this breakdown because you not only get like your needs, but like you can also see the classes, because that's got to be a big part of thinking is if you take over one of those older teams that has a lot of seniors, you know that you're going to have to recruit in that area.
Right, so team needs, again, it can be accessed anywhere in recruiting. You can be interacting with a prospect, you can press R3 and bring it right up. But this is a very, very powerful screen of showing you your overall position grade.
You need 2 quarterbacks.
As well as where your current players in your roster break down in terms of their class, whether they seniors or they juniors. And you can see on the right-hand side any prospects you've added to your board of that position, as well as players in your current roster. And this can start to give you a feel of where you should target and look. And this also changes by scheme as well, right? So if you're in a very heavy pass offense, you're going to need more wide receivers than you would in a very run-heavy offense as well. And Ben, I know you personally love this screen.
One of my favorite screens, because this is your blueprint. This is what you're trying to do. This is how you know what you're trying to go after, how you're trying to build the best program you can build, and make sure you're hitting your position minimums. If you do not fill a need, and you're under that spot, a walk-on will be added to your roster that becomes a scholarship player to make sure you're staying at your minimum. So we'll never get in a situation where you cannot.
We only have like 40 players.
Right, we want to make sure there's safety nets.
And it shows you who's already on the roster at that position. That's great.
Which is the same thing we've always done, but it's one of those things that we want to make sure that you are able to go after the people you need, find the players that you want, add them to your board, and go after them.
I'm being told we have breaking news, and I don't know what this breaking news is, so I'm in the dark. What is this breaking news?
Sketch has won a game.
Sketch has won a game! There we go! There we go! There we go! There we go!
There we go.
What's up, brother? Indeed! And he did it with Ohio State.
The lights are going.
There we go! There we go!
Come on, Sketch!
There we go!
I don't know if we had to make the graphic that dunked on him for 7 games, but hey, game 8, 8th time's the charm. Shout out to Sketch. It was a rough run. I was watching some of it. It was a rough run, but you get that win. That's got to get a little bit off your chest, and you're ready to go at that point.
You got that W. I love to see it.
Way to go, Sketch. We're so proud of you. So back into this this recruiting, and I think you got these. So obviously your star rating. Everybody knows about 5-star versus 4-star.
There's a deal breaker.
Column next to is their interest, and that's really important because that determines
proximity
whether
to home.
a recruit is even interested in coming to your
Wants
school,
to be
where
home.
you line up on their list, and
Close to
when they
home.
lock you out.
Right, so the interest column and the stage column kind of work hand in hand.
5-star.
So the interest column is where they currently have you in their list of top schools. If you're within the top 10, you'll see a 1 through 10 number. If you're outside the top 10, you'll see dashes because you're not currently on their list. The stage column is where it works with it, right? So as recruits progress through their various stages, they'll go from top 8 to top 5 to top 3, and they'll actually lock schools out. So your goal throughout recruiting is to always stay above that cut line and make sure you rank higher than where they are progressing in their stage currently.
So if we look at Console 1, you're recruiting with Sam Houston State.
Yeah.
There are already some players that are already down to their top 8.
That's correct, yeah. And so if I look at this player right here, I'm 7th on his list. He's at his top 8. He's going to cut down soon. If I try to add him to my board, and if I can't make moves on him quickly, he's going to lock me out. So you kind of keep that in mind when you're adding players to your board. And I know everybody's got different strategies of how they go and fill their board. That recommended tab is a great way to get an initial list there. One thing I love to do is go in and use the search here, and I set it to anybody who's in my top 10. And so that's just going to give me a quick list of everybody. I can go out of the recommended into everybody across the country, and I can find everybody who I'm in the top 10 for, and that's how I can start breaking things down my way of going through, okay, let's look at what quarterbacks are interested in me. Oh, we have one right here. He already has me knocked out, so I can go in and take a look and see what other players I can go after. But that's kind of one strategy to go through to be able to find the players that fit for you. Start with the ones that already want you, and then you can then work on players that may not have you in the top 10 down the line.
We got to look at Console too, because Texas, I think the pipeline is such an interesting part of recruiting, Chad. And obviously with these bigger schools, these pipelines, you're going to have maybe more access. But talk to me a little bit about how important pipelines are to getting prospects to come to your school. Yeah,
so the pipelines are incredibly important and incredibly powerful as well. It's kind of a representation of the school's influence in that particular region, right? So in Cultural 25, we've actually broken down pipelines, and they're not by state, but they're actually by region. And so you'll see Texas, for example, is broken down into multiple regions. Florida is broken down into multiple regions. You have South Florida, Central Florida, North Florida, and then you might have some states actually combined, like New York and New Jersey as well. And so as you're going through your prospect identification process, you really want to pay attention to that pipeline, that column, where there's 5 total levels, and pink being level 5, which will have the highest bonus and when you're actually interacting with that prospect, and also give you a little starting influence bonus as well when they're looking at where they want to go.
So you can see you got 5, you got
4,
6,
5, 326.
The golds, 2s of the grays, and then you're still going to have some
I got
influence,
6,
give me
7.
some bonus if you're recruiting in a 2 versus some place that you don't have a pipeline.
Right tackle.
Yeah, you will. But if you don't have a pipeline at all, you're going to be already behind. And so if you're competing at someone like a Texas who has a Tier 5 pipeline in that particular area,
he wants to be near a championship contender. That's his deal breaker.
It's going to be difficult. The pipelines also don't change over time as well, which is a really big thing to keep in mind as well. So if
you have to have at least
powerhouses like Texas, for example, are going to be strong
but he has an A
for the duration of your entire dynasty. And you'll see the
Texas have an A.
Ben's list as well, his prospect list. You'll see how big of a difference there is in those pipelines.
Yeah, and also, so I'm going through here and looking at the guys I've added real quick, and I've got a few 4-stars that are interested in coming to Sam Houston, so I can add them to my board and go after them, but I've got a limited amount of resources that I can spend each week.
Yeah, so let's talk about the top right, because I think that's really important. Your targets, your hours, and your scholarships. What's kind of the difference between the three?
Yeah, so targets are how many players you are actively recruiting. You can go up to 35 at a time. Hours are how much time you have per week to be able to spend on your prospects, and scholarships are you have 35 per year you're able to fill for your roster. You have an 85 maximum player roster. You can oversign, but then you've got to encourage players to transfer away to get yourself back down to 85 to start the next season.
So it's interesting, like, yeah, you can see, like, right here with some of these players, like, you're 6th on this list, which means you're still alive and you can still recruit these guys. But you are, I mean, you see Texas A&M at the top. It's going to be tough to overcome that at Sam Houston.
Yeah, if you look at, like, just right now with this piece right here, all I can do during the preseason is offer a scholarship and scout the player, which I highly recommend, scouting players and learning what they're all about to add them. But, you know, I have 500 to spend for the entire week. Chad has, what, 1,125?
1125. That's a big difference.
Like, so when we're going through and recruiting week to week, you can spend up to 50 hours on a prospect unless you have a coach skill to get you a chance to get more. If we're going head to head and he's spending 50, I'm spending 50, well then, okay, that's going to kill how much else I can go after, right? So yeah, you can sign a 4-star guy with a very small school. You're going to have to put so much of your resources against them that you might only sign.
Well, we saw NTE doing that with his
he only signed 6 guys, right? And he was able to do that, but guess what? You're going to sign 6 guys in a class, and also too, the transfer portal, how many of those guys are going to be there year 2, year 3? So sure, you can just go star chasing and do that, but that's not how you're going to set yourself up for success.
2 things I want to touch on, Chad, before we get really into the recruiting. One is I love that there's both high school and JUCO players in here. I think it's such a really nice, authentic touch. And then talk to me a little bit about the athletes. We're seeing that athletes have, which back in the day, I used to always be baffled about what to do with athletes. You recruited them, but like they didn't have a position. Now you have this ability with athletes to recruit them, and then they have multiple positions you could put them in.
Yeah, athletes are a lot of fun, right? And something that's kind of unique to college as well, right? And so as you're recruiting an athlete, you'll be able to scout them, see where they're good at, and then you'll be able to actually go through position changes. You can place them at their primary position, but you could always sub them in at that secondary position as well, because they're going to be good at 2 positions in there.
So these guys are going to kind of dive into this, because I think this is a fun part to build out this prospect list. So a reminder, this is before you even get to week 0. This is you just loaded into the game. You have this ability to set this up, and this is going to be what you have to keep your eye on throughout every week. You're going to have to be checking on this to see, because we're going to see progression each every week. Guys are going to sign, guys are going to eliminate you, and then you have to adjust your list even more.
Exactly, yeah. Depending on who's recruiting that player, they might wind up favoring them. So I could be going after one of these 4-star guys. A&M might not be looking at him at first. They might be one of their top targets. I'm making my moves week after week. Then all of a sudden, that's who somebody that A&M focuses on. And all of a sudden, you start seeing them just chase me down and then take that prospect away from me. The 8 weeks I spent, the A&M can come in and steal them in 2 weeks, right? That sort of thing. So that's kind of one of those things as you're going through and you're looking at your recruiting board, look to see what's happening around you. Are you staying above that cut line? When you move into that next phase, okay, cool, I'm down to 5 now. Now I can have a guy come on a visit, so schedule that visit. Do all those different pieces to try to maximize your recruiting of the player. One thing you're trying to do here that's really special to try and get to is learning what the player cares about. So if I go in here and I take a look at this player here, let's see, the guy.
Shout out to James Carmona.
You're kind of learning through right here. You can see on the right side, I have not unlocked any intel on this guy yet. I don't know what he cares about. The motivations are what matters to a prospect to be able to get them to sign with you. Some players are going to have deal breakers. So if I have a player on my board who cares about proximity to home, I'm trying to add him to my board, but he's not in Texas, he's in California, I won't have a chance to recruit him because he wants to play close to home. Other ones will be like playing style. I might start out in a good spot with him, but if I don't play to his liking, he's going to lock me out.
So like, for example, if I'm like a deep threat wide receiver who wants yards and they see you running the ball a ton, they might take you off their list at that point because they've watched how you play.
Correct, yeah. So your big thing is really trying to learn what this prospect cares about, and then trying to match that up when you're pitching them to try to tell them about the things that they want to see. So as we're going through the course of this and recruiting, you're going to start to see some of that intel unlock. You're going to learn more about the player. The more you can spend on a player, the faster you're going to learn about them. So again, that goes and helps those bigger schools. So I might only be able to spend 10 hours per week on a kid. I'm going to unlock things a lot slower than Chad is because he just has so much more at his disposal.
I think what I'm taking, as somebody who plays a lot of multi-user leagues, I'm really excited. The chess match is going to be insane. If you get a lot of people in here all recruiting against the same guy, like you start to see guys may shape how they play in order to recruit somebody. Guys may go after certain guys and then see who else is going after them and recruit them harder. I think that's where it's going to be really fun, is seeing some of these multi-user leagues, because I think the recruiting is going to be a battle that I don't think people have really thought a lot about how cool that's going to be.
Good stuff.
And that's one of those things too, deciding when you're going to cut bait and go after somebody else, or when you're in those head-to-head battles. You know, I always like to look at my position to see if am I hitting what I need from my targets and taking a look at those guys. But you know, one of the big things we were talking about, unlocking the potential or the intel for the players and what they care about, the My School screen. This is your kind of report card for your school. This is the most important thing to determine will a kid like you or not. You know, a lot of the initial interest is based on these. So as we can kind of switch between the two screens here. You can see the difference between Sam Houston.
Well, that got risk of transfer is pretty high.
Ds. Not much I have to offer. If I have something that might be an A, if it's a proximity to home thing, like find those guys and just latch onto
proximity
that.
Proximity to home,
like
playing time too. Like
just
obviously,
try to hit those things as much as you can, because that's what they care about and that's what you're good at.
You're not gonna be able to sell them like, hey, guess what? We're championship contender.
Right.
We're Sam Houston. Like you're working towards that.
So you know, you've got all these grades in here. You're trying to manage them. You can upgrade a lot of these grades. You know, we're looking at Sam Houston here now, but if we switch over and look at Texas, you're going to see.
Look at all the A's. Look at all the greens on console too, because these are obviously a championship contender, a top-notch stadium.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot more that's going for them, but your barrier is a lot higher. You have much higher goals. You got to win those 10 games, as we saw when he signed the contract. And like you see, like right now, you've got some guys who are. You see that players at risk category. Obviously, we're early, so there's no passing yards right now, but. You could be losing a guy in Isaiah Bond at 88 overall. Like, that's something that would kill another school. I mean, Texas has a lot of those guys, though.
Isaiah Bond's a pretty good player.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to be throwing the ball.
Yeah. So one thing that's interesting also, too, is you can get a bit of a preview of the transfer portal if you have a certain skill. So I don't have that skill right now, but I've just moved over to take a look at Texas's grades on my side. So I can see his grades. But his players at risk will always show me none unless I get that skill.
So there's a skill that you can unlock where I'll
Texas
be able to
Longhorn
take a
has
look
some
at
very
Texas
good grades.
or Ole Miss's roster and see, oh, that guy looks like he might be wanting to transfer. That might be somebody to keep in mind.
It's kind of your way to get a little bit of a preview of what the portal might hold for you.
Unbelievable. This is going to be an important, and this is something that you're going to be able to access this every single week.
Yep, it's always accessible, and it will update over time. Some of these grades will update weekly, some will update yearly. And you'll be able to always come back here and see where you're currently standing against other schools and what you can do to actually improve that grade. And then again, like Ben was saying, I can't stress enough how important this particular screen is and how important these grades are to not only your program, but also recruiting. Because again, every recruit has 14 motivations, all 14 motivations tied directly to one of these My School grades. How well your My School grades ultimately align with that prospect's motivations and what they care about is ultimately going to determine your success on the recruiting trail.
So from this recruiting board, that's where you're going to be able to scout players, find out more about what they want and how good they are. I saw these little, I think as you were doing it, I saw these little gems popping up, and then sometimes the gem was crossed out. What does that mean?
Yeah, so we have a gem and bust system in place where you'll see certain prospects. This is it's more prevalent in the lower star-rated recruits, in the 2s and the 3s, where you can kind of find those prospects who are just kind of the diamond in the rough, so to speak, right? The player who slipped through the cracks, and they're actually better than what their star rating would indicate. So as we go ahead and scout here, it'll cost 10 recruiting hours to scout a player, and then they move through the various scouting stages. So we start
eating some raisins.
For the attributes, for example, we start with this bar that fills up 25%.
Catching 84.
25% of the bar, where the left side is 0 and the right side is 99. So we're getting a high-level idea of where this prospect lands.
Two ratings. You got catching and deep route
66.
unlocked.
Yep.
So we got that specific rating. Everything else
Tight
is
end.
Yep, and so as we continue to progress
I'm
through
deep route
scouting
guy.
this prospect, those bars will get narrower. So we'll see if catching traffic, for example, here, right, it's only 10% of the bar, and then ultimately catching and deep route
everyone's
an
going to be looking
actual
at speed.
rating.
Let's be honest. Speed is the one that everyone's looking at.
And I understand. And as we're scouting,
Speed kills,
them,
man.
It does.
As we're scouting them, we'll also uncover what their physical abilities are, as well as their mental abilities. Remember, the mental abilities do not change in Dynasty mode. So what they come in with is what they're going to have when they graduate, right? So it's a very, very important thing to keep in mind and a key differentiator between players. You'll also see their development trait down there as well, which is not able to be scouted out of the gate unless you have a coach.
Wow, 80% scouted.
Uncover it potentially. There's a chance to uncover it as a part of their
Low awareness
on campus.
All right, so he's 100% scouted. So you have all the
100%
information you have
scouted.
to play. Now, and correct me if I'm wrong, these hours do not regenerate. This is what you have for the year? Like 1,125 is for the year or for the week?
It's for the week, which is very nice that you can go ahead and have that amount to a lot for the week and not have to think about, well, I need to conserve these for week 4 or week 5 or whatever else. Yeah, spend everything you've got for that week. It will stay set that way when you advance to the next week, so you can either set it and forget it and just keep going that way, or remove some time to add to another player, kind of make your adjustments based on how things are moving.
So two things I want to hit before we get start advancing weeks. Number one is, if I'm a guy who's playing this and I'm just like, dude, this is way too much for me. I'd rather just play the games. I'm kind of interested. Is there a way to automate all this?
Absolutely. You can turn on auto recruiting, and that will take your hands off the wheel and let the CPU handle it for you. So it's kind of what do you want to do. A lot of that is always how we design the game and build the game out.
There was the no gem right there. So he's a bust.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying. He's not going to be. I mean, he's
all,
a contributor.
All a bust means, right, is that he's there as a star. He's been rated as a 4-star, but he's actually probably more of a 3-star. Is really what a bust means. So just because you get a bust doesn't mean they're a bad player. You still got to look at the ratings. A 5-star bust is still going to be pretty darn good at the end of the day.
He's just not going to be
that
that 5-star
mentals.
changer that you were thinking of.
I mean, a 5-star bust is going to be better than probably anybody that's on my roster right now. So that means that's still great for me, you know?
And I think the other thing to make note is, again, I think a lot of people are coming from, obviously haven't played Madden for so long. Your scouting is a pretty small part because you only have 7 draft picks or 8 draft picks. You got to think about the number of players that are coming into a school each and every year and how many players there are out there. That's why you have so many hours and so much scouting, because the list of players is 10, 15-fold what you'd be seeing in the NFL draft.
Well, and also, too, why I love scouting in a college game is you can action on the information you're learning immediately. You're not just saving this information for a draft that's at the end of the year. I'm making decisions right now based on the things I've learned. I have 2 quarterbacks I'm looking at. I scouted them. One's a gem, one's a bust. Buy bust. Let me go after that gem. So you're able to really action on things in the moment and not just be saving information for down the line.
Let's go to console 1, because I think this is an important screen. This is when you advance. Everybody's going to get the screen to pop up. We start off with the recruiting update. So this is just an update on anybody who's made new decisions week to week inside of recruiting.
So yeah, every time that you advance week, you're going to get this pop up coming out of that advancement, giving you a recruiting update, letting you know players on your board that have had movement. So did somebody cut down to a top 5, or did someone lock you out? Or
I like the recruiting
what are you
update.
learning about these players? So you have that piece first. This is not a week where we had a game, so I don't have the update on XP. But if you've earned XP, you'll get an update there to let you know how close you are to earning another skill point to be able to upgrade your coach. But then also too, you've got an update every week about your My School screen. So what grades have changed? Are there players who are at risk, and how are they changing? So you can kind of keep an eye on the health of your program on a weekly basis on that advance.
Can we look at console 2 for a second?
He's got a high risk of transfer, though.
Did we put Ryan Fitzpatrick in the game? Because that looks like Ryan Fitzpatrick. I've seen him before. It's majestic. It's a majestic beard. Shout out to Colleen, Texas. All right, so now we've gotten into week 1, and so this is where I think when you're starting a dynasty, you're going to be spending, in terms of recruiting, majority of your time is going to be that initial setup. As we get week to week, does your time kind of decrease as to how much you're spending? Because I think setting up your board has got to be a major chunk of time.
Absolutely. The biggest time you're going to spend is that initial board setup. And then from there, it's maintenance. It's where am I at with this player? I'm kind of in a runaway race here for Wiggins, so I can maybe kind of pull back some time from him potentially to be able to put elsewhere, or I can just go full bore on him to try and get him closed out. He's now in a top 5 status. So what I can do with him is come into the recruiting side of things and take a look, and schedule a visit with him and take a look at the different home games I've got left on my schedule, and different ones are going to mean more or less. So if I win against Western Kentucky here, that's going to be big for me. A loss isn't going to hurt me as much. Texas State, that's one. It's kind of a toss-up of how that's going to impact. Down in the right corner there, you see complimentary visit and competitive visit. That is also going to play into who are you bringing with you for that week.
So if I bring in 3 quarterbacks at the same time, that might be ruffle a couple feathers.
2 of them aren't going to be happy about that, and those are going to be the 2 that are lower rated on that list.
Was it Washington or the Patriots that did that? They brought in all the first-round quarterbacks and had dinner together. You probably shouldn't do that because it might make some people feel a little something.
But in the NFL, the team holds the cards of who they're going to select.
Yeah.
Here, you're trying to get the commitment from the player, so you're trying to curry their favor. You don't want to do those sort of things like bringing all your quarterbacks in one week. So really trying to plan out when you're going to bring players on campus is really a key. And so I'm going to go ahead and do this Western Kentucky one. When you do that here, you can see I've started to learn information about this player, things he likes and things he doesn't like.
So proximity to home is a big deal for him.
It's a big deal for him. And I'm an A. I mean, that's the only green I have. That's my best thing. I've got to try and hit that nonstop.
So you're not going to pick pro potential, whatever, because he's, you've got a D+ in that one, Sam Houston, but close to home.
Yeah.
That's basically bringing a guy in and then talking to him over and over. You're going to be able to go home and see family whenever you want. They're going to be able to come to games.
Come and see you every week, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just lock that in. That's what we're going to show him while he's there. But I've spent 25 on him. I've got more I can spend. So I'm going to go through and take a look here.
I noticed your hours went down, by the way. You had 500 in the first week. Now you're down to 400 in week 1. So that number is going to change week to week.
Yeah, your preseason, we give you a different allotment than we give you during the rest of the year because we want you to spend some time scouting those players. Now you're still going to have less than a Texas will, but you're able to go in there and spend some time. So
if we look at Texas, they got 900. So I think what's interesting is Chad recruiting with Texas. If you're going to bring in a guy for a visit, because you got so many A+s, you got to kind of pick and choose where you're recruiting. Whereas you might only have one option at Sam Houston State. Texas has a lot of things you could pitch to somebody.
Yeah, Ben's going to have to be much more focused in his approach of how that prospect aligns with his program and who he's going after, whereas Texas can really be very broad in terms of who they go after.
We're Texas.
That's
that's your whole pitch.
Right. That's right, we're Texas.
We're
Texas.
Eddie?
Welcome to the SEC. So if we take a look here at my console, you'll see we're starting in the overview tab here, right? And every prospect has this. This is their top schools list. So as they're progressing those stages we talked about, right, top 8, top 5, you'll see that projected cutoff actually go up, and your goal is to always be above that. So at the very top, we have our
So you're below the top 8 right now for this guy. So you're in a tough position competing. You're the top. You're like number one on the list.
I'm number 1.
So
right?
you're number 1. So this is going to be you want to keep your spot here the whole time.
So I'm in a very good position with this player right now to go actually sign him. So I got to make sure I'm investing a lot of hours in him to make sure that.
I like
doesn't
that it
happen.
also gives you the tier of the pipeline. You see, like Georgia's a little lower tier, whereas Texas and Ohio State have the higher tier.
And that's going to be a key differentiator here in this race for Juan. Right, so at the very top, we see an overall progression bar of as the prospect is advancing through their stages. You can see how close they're to top 8, top 5, top 3.
So that's when they're gonna reduce down to a top 8. When they reduce down to a top 5.
So as they progress, then that's when they'll make those decisions, and you want to always be above the cut line. So we can see the top schools. This is a very competitive race, right? There's some pretty heavy hitters in here: Ohio State, Alabama, Oklahoma, and then we can go ahead and now actually start to recruit them, right? So we're still in stage 1. At least I am here with Juan, whereas Ben is moving to stage 2, right, with the other prospect that he had in the top 5. So stage 1, all about discovery here. So we've done our prospect identification. Now it's about discovering what does this prospect care about? Do they align with my school, my school grades that we just looked at? There's a pretty good chance they're going to align because I'm A+ across the board, right, with Texas here. So we can go ahead and add an action. We have 4 core actions you can take while you're in that stage 1, and then we'll eventually talk about the pitching and swaying as well. And so we'll go ahead, and the more hours you spend early in that discovery phase, the faster you'll cover the information.
Send the houses. You're trying to get this guy to come here no matter what.
Right.
I'm sending everybody.
And in the highly competitive race like what we have here for Juan, I'm definitely going to be putting a lot of hours, investing a lot of time with him to make sure that he comes to Texas come the fall.
So, Ben, what's the difference? I'm looking at this. I saw influence, and then I saw pitch. So those are going to unlock at different times. So as you get towards the pitch section, what's the soft sell versus the hard sell?
Yeah, so, as Chad was saying, you've got these different pieces you can do here that are going to unlock.
So you've actually got this unlocked with Rasheem.
Yes, I'm a little further along with him, so I can show you that piece here. So, I've been looking at this player. I've been spending about 25 hours per week on him, progressing him along. But I've moved to the spot now where I can actually go in and actually pitch. So I've spent that time learning about the player, and I can see those things I care about. There's 3 things that he cares about that are green. I don't really match up the best with every one of them. But you know what? What I'm going to be able to do is go in here and soft sell or hard sell this prospect. And so with that, I only got, unless I take off the 25 hours there, I don't have enough to be able to hard sell him with this. So I can go in and soft sell. And with that, I'm going to, I don't have enough total hours. So,
you only have 15
Yeah, let me go ahead and just pull some hours off real quick.
So I think that's the important distinction is while your number of hours doesn't change week to week. I have the same pool of hours.
Yes.
They are allocated though. If I go advance a week, I've already allocated some hours to that. So you may have to move some around to change your pitches.
And I've moved out of the phase where I need to be learning intel about this player because I know his 3 things he cares about. So now I'm in the phase where I'm going to either soft sell, hard sell, or in a situation like this, what I'm actually going to try and do here is try and sway his opinion and try and get him to like something that maybe I'm not, that he doesn't currently like that I'm good in, to be able to increase my chances of getting him to see something in me that maybe he didn't see before. But you have those options here. So actually I've got 40 hours.
I'm glad they have instructions on what soft sell and all that stuff mean right beside it. Make sure you make the right decision.
There so you can pick those 3.
It's called an ideal pitch is what we call it. It's the 3 things he cares the most about. You're trying to find the ones that best match up, and I happen to find that one right here. Now I've got 2 things that are not the best, but I've got my thing that is the best. So, and it's what he cares about. I can, if I do the sway, one of those reds will turn to green. I'll have a different ideal pitch that I can go after, but this is the best I have to offer for this player. I'm in the lead. It's a solo race right now.
Yeah, you don't have good grades for coach prestige and conference prestige.
You're in a good spot. Sway would be if I'm behind the sticks maybe a little bit.
And if you feel
to
like
get a
you've gotta
recruit
do
like,
something to
well,
try and pull your player in. So I'm going to go ahead and stay with
he's
that.
a 1-star, so.
Because one thing that we've improved from a previous piece that I know always frustrated me, and I think, Chad, we talked about, frustrated you, was sometimes players didn't sign at the end of a class in the old game. So you'd be working on a kid, having close to a commitment, you get to signing day, but you didn't get him over the hump, and he wouldn't commit. Now, when you get to signing day, the final signing day, if a player hasn't committed, but you're in the lead for him, he will wind up signing with you. So you don't have to try to spend everything you can to get that kid to commit. I can actually kind of slow roll this guy, which I'm really happy about being able to do, because I have limited resources. I can go and then spend my time elsewhere.
And so what's interesting, yeah, as you guys now work your way through these weeks, so like this was a big week into week one, you're going to have more and more, each and every week your list is going to trim down a little bit. Some guys are going to keep you in there, some guys are going to take you out of that
Advance
top
into
eight,
week
more guys are
one.
going to reach it. So I imagine as you get to week 2, 3, 4, and 5, that list grows even more as guys trim down your list, so you're going to be able to allocate resources more effectively.
Correct. Oh, see myself here moving up. I got 10 more skill points, so I can go and get
Hey,
some.
congratulations, great work. Well done.
It feels great. It feels
well done.
good.
Well done.
Yeah.
Tavares Jasso, by the way, is not related to Ted Lasso. We are legally required to say that. He's a different, legally distinguishable Tavares Jasso.
We're 1-0 in Sam Houston, and we beat Rice last week. And what's that mean?
Don't lose the food.
Don't lose the food. You're right.
Where's the food?
Pate State material.
So you can see I've already got the check mark here on recruiting because I've already allocated all the hours from last week. And so those are already set right there. So if I did not do anything, it would keep everything I had the week before. And this lets me know that I have completed for the week. If we're in an online dynasty together,
good
this
stuff.
is also a key piece that you can know how other people are doing.
It's really going to help.
As far as the completion of their week. Have they played their game? Have they finished their recruiting? Those are the two things that you need to do to be able to move on to the next week.
Okay, well, so you guys are going to keep rolling through this because I know we've been talking a lot about recruiting, and there's some part of this that you guys just got to get through a couple weeks of this. I see Thomas Fleming just lurking out there. Could you stop? He dabbed. Stay out there. Never mind. Change my mind. We're not talking to Thomas. We're good. Skip it. Cancel it. We're good. No, we have to? Okay, come on. Can't believe you dabbed at me. Hello. I mean, as somebody who does the unironic 35-year-old dab, I appreciate the move. I appreciate it. We got Thomas Fleming out here, feature producer. First of all, welcome in.
Thank you.
A super exciting weekend.
He's got Oregon State U shirt on.
Just so amped for people to get their hands on this.
Yeah, also no one told me I couldn't wear this shirt, so I'm repping the Pokes.
Go Pokes, yeah.
Go Pokes. Yeah, very, very exciting. A lot to look forward to, and so looking forward to talk about uniforms and plays and playbooks.
Yeah, I know if you're out there, you like uniforms, you like playbooks, we're going to get into that one. So let's start off with uniforms. And I think this is, you talk about what college football brings. I think so many people are excited just to see some of those iconic uniforms. And you guys had a challenge to put so many uniforms into a game.
It was a lot. So
good stuff.
This was one of the examples in our game where we had to create completely new tech to be able to make as much as we wanted to in the detail that we wanted to. And so these are just a few examples. Oklahoma State rep in there, Iowa State, their throwbacks. We've got Tulsa, we've got the Chanticleers.
I love the Chanticleers.
Yeah, those
what
are beautiful. We have all of Florida's throwbacks in. And so, this was an example where, as I said, we had to
Coastal Carolina got some good uniforms. I like those.
And in greater detail. And like
the whole game, uniforms are awesome.
Marshall, we were able to get in their helmet. It's called their 75 helmet. They wear a 75 uniform every year to commemorate the 75 people who died in that crash a number of years ago.
That's cool to have that in the game.
And on the stripe, you can see all 75 names. Well, now because of the detail,
hope they show my Washington Huskies.
You can actually pause in game, zoom in on the helmet, and you can see all 75 names.
That's really cool. Let's take a look at some individual uniforms. Kent State.
Beautiful screenshot, man. The referee is right on the action.
Assets, and Kent State is #1. So they actually are first in the game in terms of helmets. They got 22.
And look out ref. I mean, that guy's got a sideline animation coming in. I mean, lots of different pants, helmets. You see that? That's kind of an old school flashes.
Yep, script flashes. And Kent State's a perfect example of a university that we have a great relationship with. And I think a lot of people don't realize the biggest hurdle, and Ben can talk to this too or agree with me, the biggest hurdle in terms of getting a uniform in is getting the approval. Whether it be from the athletic department, the licensing department, from anyone who owns any third-party marks. And so Kent State was a perfect
Guys, I'll be right back.
of a school that said, you know, we're just going to give you carte blanche. You want to go after something we wore 3 years ago, go for it. We'll give you everything you need. And so that was huge in allowing us to create their suite and build it out. And I think they're going to be a great team for Dynasty.
I mean, who doesn't love throwbacks? How about Memphis? You got the dark uniforms. I love that dark chrome helmet. Like, that's such a tough look.
Yeah, so Memphis is number 2 in terms of assets, and they're in the top 5 in helmets. I think they have 16 or 18. Another example, great relationship we have with the university. And they also have a ton, right? So we have their blue, white, black, white, gray jerseys. We have a ton.
Whichever you want to run. I mean, run the black unis at night. I mean, that's
absolutely.
That's just a tough look. I mean, when I think about uniforms, though, I think about can we cut to console 2? Can we cut to console? We got Tavares Jasso.
There we go.
Not Ted Lasso. Let's go. Well done. Hey, good pitching. Well done.
Thank you. Firm handshakes all around.
Mineola, Texas. Shout out to Mineola, Texas. Shout out to Tavares Jasso. When I think about uniforms, I don't think you can talk about uniforms without talking about Oregon.
Absolutely.
Phil Knight, those Nike unis are tough.
Absolutely. And so, again, Oregon, we have a ton of what they wore. They're also an example of when you get into game, make sure to cycle through their helmets, jerseys, pants individually. We have presets set. We wanted that to be a starting point because we wanted to encourage people to mix and match as they please. So there are a lot of helmets for Oregon, for example, that aren't attached to a preset because it would get into the 20s, 30s, 40s. But there's a ton there. And then they're also an example of a school that released new uniforms recently. We've been working with the University of Oregon for months. We have a great relationship with them and their athletic department. And they are one of many schools that we've been working for really the past year to release content after launch.
So we're going to get updates to if they release perhaps a new jersey. You're going to see some of those coming.
So we have 2 areas of content post-launch. We have one where it's stuff we just did not get to yet, but we have, and we want to release post-launch, some alternates, some different throwbacks.
Console 2, Ryan Fitzpatrick just committed. Shout out to Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm sorry, Juan Clavijo.
On a tear.
That is
right.
I mean, what a job.
That's right.
It must be tough recruiting at Texas, right? It's hard to do that pitch where you go,
It is.
hey, we're Texas, right?
You know, signing 4 and 5 stars isn't easy, right?
When it rains, it pours over there in Austin. Jeez.
Jeez, oh, man.
Real quick, the big thing to remember, right? We got our guy Juan, which is awesome, but we got to remember that he did have a deal breaker for championship contender, and that championship contender grade is going to change throughout the season.
So you don't want to start losing now.
If I start losing, we're 4-1 right now. I don't think Texas would lose, right? Because we're big time.
We're Texas.
With the way you play, we don't know.
No, CPU's doing it. He doesn't have to play. We're okay. We're okay.
All right.
Right, but if I did start to lose, the championship contender grade could start to go down, and if it gets below his deal breaker threshold of B-, he would actually decommit.
So you can see decommits.
You can see decommitments
so you
within
gotta
recruiting.
stay on top of that stuff.
Right, you got to make sure you're staying above the deal breaker threshold. Otherwise, you decommit. Once we do get to early signing day, though, he will go ahead and sign if he is still verbally committed and he hasn't decommitted.
You got to think about also the playing style too. Like if you start running the ball a ton, you've got a deep threat wide receiver. That's also something you can see him decommit later. They're like, hold on, when did you turn into Air Force and start running the ball all the time?
Right,
exactly.
That's really cool. Back with the uniforms, Minnesota.
Oh, right.
Gophers?
Yes. But to finish the point there, we have post-launch content.
Man, these uniforms are awesome.
Teams we didn't get to, but we want to. Then we have
good colors, vibrant color.
Schools we've partnered with over the
clean.
past year. We know they're releasing certain uniforms throughout the season. Obviously, we're not going to say which.
Player models look excellent.
When they do those special
we'll be able
uniforms
to
for a game, that's
release
cool.
Nothing looks bulky.
And I'd also like to make
helmet's a nightmare, by the way.
I
hate that. Stop
Minnesota's
staring at
second in
Very
terms
good
of-
looking
but
helmets.
I do want to make a point. All the post-launch content we have
Graphically,
are
this game is
coming
beautiful.
Kind of piggybacking on top of the patches that we already have scheduled. So we have a certain cadence of post-launch title updates. We are just adding them on top of those so that you will automatically get those updates when you boot up the console.
Okay, so it won't be an additional update in between title updates. They're with those title updates you're getting.
Correct. So you don't have to do anything.
That is so exciting for me, being an old head from the old game. We never did this before.
Beautiful.
You know, what was on the disc was on the disc, and unfortunately,
Just
we did have
straight
a
up
uniform store
beautiful.
that had some stuff, but those were things that we
Arizona.
we hadn't gotten to by the time the disc launched. We have never done anything where we partnered with schools to be
Wow.
able to get uniforms in the game.
I think that's the Wildcat. Arizona?
That's the piece I think we talk about, just bringing this game back. How excited the schools are that we're back and being a part of this with us and bringing this back. I mean, that's my favorite part is just talking to schools. You're seeing they're having launch parties themselves.
Right.
They're so excited about us being back, and we're trying to match that with them. And just where we go with this is, I think, my most excited part about it.
Yeah, that's really cool. The last one, I think we flashed it up on the screen, but Arizona State.
Yeah.
Shout out to
and who's
Tempe.
that, Chad?
It's my guy Cameron.
Oh yeah. Where's he from, Chad?
Well, I feel like I'm in the middle of something.
I know.
Do we need to leave?
He's an Arizona State fan in quotation marks.
Oh. Forks up? Forks up.
That's right, forks up.
Forks up.
It's ugly in here.
I feel like I'm in the middle of a Twitter fight. You're not even a real fan.
Well, yeah, not a real Oklahoma State fan like myself.
Oh, wow. Shout out Mike Gundy.
That's right. Yeah.
If anybody thinks the Phantom doesn't run deep in this team, here you go.
That's right. Oh yeah.
It's over here. Now, before we get to talking about some playbooks, because I know people are excited about playbooks.
Sure.
Let's check in with the guys. Console One, what do we got going on here with Sam Houston State? With, by the way, did I see 5-2? I mean, you guys are killing it right now.
Oh, we're doing some things. Let's back out real quick and take a look at that again. Yeah. Oh,
6-2. I apologize.
Is that a bowl eligible?
That's a bowl eligible Sam
eligible
Houston State Bearcats with a K.
Did I have a 4-win goal and
Possibly.
beat that already?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're doing great
good
over
job.
here. But checking in on coach abilities, we talked about that, how you can progress your coach throughout the year. I started out as a motivator. That was my initial piece. I've been continuing to invest in there. But you know what? I actually started to build into being a tactician and going into that side of things to get some ratings bumps for my players. And I've done so much there to now that is where I've spent the most in. So now I am viewed as a tactician. I'm no longer a motivator. So it's changing throughout the course of the game based on where I'm investing.
I think another thing to talk about is, because we haven't really gone into just the main menu of Dynasty yet, just how much information there is here. You're gonna be able to look at standings. When you reach week 10, you get the college football playoff bracket. There's so much that
Great screens, man. Beautiful screens with good information.
For guys who love the authenticity of
well
Dynasty,
done.
You have here just for the menu.
And
well organized.
Was one of my favorite things that we were able to do, and that's some of the most important things to do is build that world that's realistic, that makes sense of what college football looks like to you. So then you can go in and you can make your tweaks to it to change things on that. So when you get to week 10, that's the start of October. Start of November. In real life, that is when the playoff bracket comes available for the first time. We are in a unique spot in this game where we're.
You get to see the bracket too.
First before it ever happens.
We're going to see the college
playoff bracket,
the 12-team version in game before we actually see it in live.
Players of the week, Heisman watch, award watch list. Wow.
That are going to happen.
Bowl projections, good stuff.
So that's one of the fun things we have. So here we are. We're in
college
week 10.
football top 25. Beautiful.
This is also a caveat that the season is not done yet. So let's see the strangest that the bracket will look like. If you remember back when the 14 playoff happened for the first time, Mississippi State and Ole Miss were 1-2.
Right, things
not
got
how
weird.
things ended. So we're going to come in here and take a look, and you're going to see. The very first thing here, top left corner.
Shout out Boston College in the 4 seed. North Texas in the 12.
So, you've got a lot of things here to talk about. We followed the logic of how the CFP.
Wow, Indiana.
Your conference champions, your top
number
5
3.
conference champions get automatic qualifying bids.
They're in the Big 12 with us.
The top 4 get that first round bye. So you see down there, North Texas at 12. They're going to potentially be that conference.
Michigan's
champion,
in the Big 12.
Champion that makes it in. Everybody else gets seeded
Oregon.
in different ways.
Wow, I told you Big 12, man. That's a strong conference, man. My little Huskies, man. It's going to be tough.
Notre Dame, the best you can be is 5.
My Washington Huskies.
So this, again, talking about the learning and teaching tool of this game. You're going to learn and be a better and smarter fan and understand how the playoff works just by playing this game.
And I think
Utah. No, Utah's not in the Big 12. No, Utah's not.
Both Indiana and Boston College.
I think they're in the Big 10. No, I'm sorry. We're in the Big 10. I think they're in the Big 12.
This is such a fun throwback. Yeah.
Every week, the Heisman Watch updates based on what's going on there.
Cam Rising in his 19th year of playing football.
Look at that.
Utah's number
140
6.
years old.
Heisman Trophy
Just as somebody
race.
who's been a part of this series since 2004. These are real player names we're seeing in the game. I just cannot.
It's almost a little jarring to see them, because I remember having to upload the rosters. You used to manually go in there and upload the roster. And big
Top
shout out to those
25.
guys who for years were putting the rosters online so that you could put them in there. And now we actually have them in the game. I mean, what a big change from before.
Absolutely.
Beautiful stuff,
so,
man.
You see here, this week, the first time you're seeing the CFP bracket.
Oregon's number 1.
The top 25 ranking show up.
Oh, look at that.
Every week we've
Oklahoma
got.
State beat Baylor, 6-2.
There you go. Every week the media poll and the coaches poll update. So just
The
like
different
real life,
polls.
creating these things that build out this world of college football.
Coaches
you can
poll.
go through and you can look at the weekly schedule here and see everything that's going on around the nation. We really just kind of worked on building out this entire world of everything that goes on to make a college football.
A little note, and I love this about this screen, is that you see you have the TV
Week
broadcast
10
on,
matchups.
You guys put in the streaming logo
Oh, yeah.
for the ones that you're not going to be able to watch on broadcast TV.
Absolutely, yeah. And so you also see too, as we're going through, if a rivalry game comes up, you'll see the rivalry trophy there. So again, teaching you more about the sport here. If it's a unique rivalry logo, we have that as well. So just a lot of those depth pieces that really show off the uniqueness of
You
college
guys got a
football.
favorite rivalry trophy or?
Florida Rosedale, come on. Give me the pig.
Pig?
Give me the pig. Oh yeah,
The
absolutely.
pig? I'm a sucker for Paul Bunyan.
Yeah, I was going to say
I was
the
going to
Axe.
say the Axe as well. But how about that matchup of Oregon and Michigan in the new Big Ten?
Yeah.
Jari, that is going to be one of the things that just wrapping your head around conference realignment and remembering who's playing where and all that.
Oh, absolutely.
You're getting Oregon, Michigan in the middle of the year.
Hey, look, we got a Chad Thomas matchup here too. Look,
There
that's
you
always
go.
fun.
Oh, fans versus non-fans.
What was their record last year, Chad?
It wasn't great. No comment.
Chad, in
The future
1999, who was the leading receiver?
We're looking ahead, okay? We're looking ahead.
that's all
We're
we
looking
do.
ahead.
In 2005, what bowl did you play in? It's the Alamo Bowl. Thank you so much. Let's talk playbooks a little bit, Thomas,
Yeah.
because I think this is maybe the thing
SEC
that people are
conference.
most excited about because you have so many teams, you got so many different playbooks. I want to point out on this graphic, these
Notable
are not the only
playbook
teams with these
styles.
styles. These are
Right.
just some examples, and we're going to show you some examples.
Oh,
Let's
my
start
team
off with
Washington,
air
we got a
raid
multiple
offense.
playbook.
And we're looking at Texas Tech.
Sure,
We talked.
so-
This is from the generic air raid playbook.
Right,
And it gives a
so-
shout out to one of the great coaches.
So I can't
Gun
see what
early,
it's saying, but I can
halfback
tell you
straight.
This is early
Half-
H-move,
H-move, 92,
post double wheel. And,
PST,
what we
double
did with
wheel.
the air raid generic playbook.
Double
we could've
post.
just let it
92
sit
post.
because it certainly has been there for a number of years, but we wanted to revamp it, and we named everything in the playbook to match.
The field is
technology
beautiful,
from
man.
Mike
Good
Leach.
art on the
entire
field and
offense
everything.
Is what Mike Leach would traditionally run with his air raid offense. So we've got green Z fly play, 95 Z post. We've got fake quick 618 Z post F wheel. We have all the stuff that he.
It's nice looking pass play with some route combinations there.
Tip of the cap to him because he was such a stalwart of college football and hopefully a future Hall of Famer.
What an ode to one of the great characters in college football.
Absolutely, and so there were a lot of versions of air raid. Obviously, you have the USC air raid, use a lot of GT counter, a lot of slide RPOs. They like to use branch and put them in the slot or put them where tight end would be, and we have all that. And Louisiana Tech, they have the version of the air raid. So a lot of different types.
A variation.
It's a
They're
very
not all
good
gonna look the same.
defensive
You're
play
gonna have
call
different
right there.
things.
You're going to have those basic.
Looking at based on the route
concepts, you know,
combination.
point cross, air mesh, those things across all those air raid teams.
Let's talk veer and shoot.
Air raid,
I
veer and
came to
shoot,
know this one
option,
from watching Josh
multiple,
Heupel
and
in Tennessee.
spread. I'm glad our
Yes.
playbooks
I'm
is going to be
not sure, how
multiple.
it became legal to line up those wide receivers.
Playbook
That's
style
all
would be
that's such a
multiple,
tough thing.
baby.
So super wide splits, right? And so we had
Play action
White
choice
that
deep.
had, kind of runs the playbooks.
Gun wide, slot left,
They've
weak.
been working on getting the tech ready for this for multiple years, I believe, and this is an example, right? So the veer and shoot is a lot of gaps.
McCoy on the left side,
power
X has a
runs,
nice option route there.
Or screens or quick access throws to, and then a lot of vertical routes, and a lot of them being choice routes. So this is an example. This is what they call choice deep. So you've got a switch release on the double receiver side. That inside receiver is taught. If you're even, you're leaving. So if he's got a man next to him, if he's in cover 1 or cover O, he is burning it down the sideline. Your outside receiver is switching back in, and he's reading middle of the field open, middle of the field closed. Is it man? Is it zone? Do I break it off? Do I split the safeties? But yeah, this is an offense that it's a good starting point, what we have, and we're going to continue to build and improve. It's another example of kind of like with what we said with uniforms. Post-launch, our work doesn't finish when the game comes out, so we'll continue to work on improving this and adding. And in fact, we just had USF, the Bulls in here yesterday.
Oh, they're gonna get so mad.
I know,
They're gonna
that's
get so
all
mad.
it
Hey, it's been fun, man. It's
Thomas,
been good
that's all
knowing you.
Acceptable.
See ya.
That's not
It's
acceptable.
been a good run.
The Bulls were in here yesterday, and we had some of the players work with A-Dub Anthony White and give us some pointers and say, what should be tweaked, what they liked. And so we're going to continue to work on this and especially nail down the differences. And that's the good thing, what we have right now. Some teams are all wide. Some teams, as in real life, use a mixture. So Texas State uses some air raid, they use some wide splits, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, SMU. So they have a little bit of everything. which I think is a better way to ramp up to it if you're not familiar with it.
Can we show console 1 for just a second and show that
wow, look at that.
Ben's the best?
I just want to let you all know what's going on over here.
Yeah, look, conference championship match.
You've been invited to play in the
Middle Tennessee State
Conference USA Championship in Week 1 against Mid-Team
Great
State.
to see that. So I moved ahead into Conference Championship Week just to keep things moving along. And that's
Middle Tennessee.
The other part with this is now we're going to start talking about the
Chad, did you make the conference championship in the SEC?
Beautiful graphics, man.
Can we check out Chad's screen for just a second? Oh, you fired your offensive coordinator. Interesting.
I did.
Oh, we got two different things going on here.
We had a disappointing 8-4 year.
8-4.
Yeah, you know, that's not good enough.
Yikes.
I got to win 10 games with my contract.
Yeah.
So that put me a little bit closer
Future
to the hot.
ex-coach of Texas is really cool.
No,
man.
no,
Shout
no.
out to
Hey,
Chad.
always be Cruton's going nowhere. That's why he got rid of his offensive coordinator.
Job
So
open.
We're in the coaching carousel now. Coaching carousel takes place over 5 total weeks. It starts in Conference Championship Week. That's when you're actually able to go ahead and fire your coordinators, and then starting in Bowl Week 1 is when you actually
Is when you got to look
replace
at
them.
the replacements.
Right?
Okay.
But remember, if you don't actually fire them in Conference Championship, you will not be able to replace them unless they go and they're
So
poached
make sure
and go
if you're
somewhere
going to
else.
fire, if you want somebody out of the office, you got to fire them.
That's right.
In Conference Championship.
And
Well, you
our
need an
offensive
offensive
line
coordinator.
coach, So he's gone.
Man, that's-
Shane
that's
McShane
tough.
on the other side. On the
I mean,
other hand,
elite name.
Shane McShane
You
is.
can't.
He
Hey,
is
if
safe.
you want to see
He is
unacceptable
safe.
offense, stay tuned for Chad. He plays in
They holding the head coach responsible. He has a C+ grade.
Let's go back to playbooks.
Defensive coordinator's looking good with a B-.
Playbooks, and you got so many
Absolutely.
options.
This is Will
LSU
Sykes'
has a
great
spread.
job.
Florida
He's
State
part of
U
this
has a
excellent
spread.
job, so I can't take any credit.
Auburn
when
has a
somebody's
spread.
playing
Oh,
online
look at
against
that
somebody running
field.
the Air
That's
Force
beautiful.
playbook, and they're getting
Wow.
absolutely toted on. We can blame Will Sykes.
No, but they've been working on this as
Play
well.
now games, man, are going to be beautiful. You can go all over the place and play, unless everybody plays with the top teams, which is most likely going to be the case. En route to the playoffs.
Load option, speed option. You've got QB counter. You've got halfback counter. A bunch of stuff. And then you have the teams that run spread option, right? Or some in the pistol. Some
I'm going to do a lot of practice and play now against the CPU,
UNLV with the go-go does a little bit of that.
especially in practice
so,
mode.
Yes, it feels natural. I mean, you really got to work on making those read keys, just like in real life. When you're running inside veer, you got to.
That looks like an option play there.
He's running at you at 100 miles an hour, so it's definitely
Air Force.
And again, an example of this is just the starting point. We want to continue to tweak and improve and add.
This game is clean, man.
Popka High School come in a couple of
Army versus Air Force.
Kind of gave us some pointers on option. They looked at what we had and they said, this is great. This we could work on. Blocking schemes for this. Rocket toss should be outside the tackle. Things like that. So
you're really getting that realistic look
absolutely.
at options. It's not just read options. You got so many different looks. And speaking of different looks, Alabama, Ohio State, Washington, those multiple playbooks, you're going to get kind of a taste of a little bit of everything in those playbooks.
Yeah, so Alabama, Ohio State, perfect examples, a lot there. Northern Illinois as well, which I believe we have something from them. Northern Illinois went through, they had a rough patch at the beginning of the season, and they changed who was calling plays, and they kind of took off last year. Wildcat's a big part of their offense, but also
play action boot.
Their fly sweep is a big part of their
Single back wing X
We've kind of
off
expanded
close.
the fly sweep suite. For myself, I use it a lot, selfishly, I use that a lot, and I will in my online dynasties, but now you have a lot of runs off of
Looks
that.
like a
So you
cover
have
3 defense.
Zone off of it, you have power, you have duo, all these things off of fly
And a
sweep.
4-3.
This is an example like a boot. And this is also an example of a formation that's custom to college, because if you notice, in this example, B, he's off the line of scrimmage, and A and X on the left are on the line of scrimmage. So A is ineligible, but you can move B freely. And so,
Interesting.
A lot there with fly sweeps and shotgun. We have it.
But now you got coverage shell, so you most likely won't know until after the snap
Example of us trying
what
to
coverage you're looking
draw
at.
attention to schools that aren't the blue bloods, aren't the huge Power 5 schools, but we care just as much about Northern Illinois being accurate and getting them accurate. So.
And man, I remember back in 06, Florida running the spread. It was like the first time we saw it in college football,
Yeah.
this newfangled offense, and now you got so many schools out there running.
Absolutely, and it's spread. The term spread is so ubiquitous. There are so many.
There's
teams
5
that
playbook
use
styles,
that
and people are still going to try to run the same plays as everybody else.
Hey man, it's been fun.
This is a great example of a play that you're seeing all over spread.
Look at the
football.
shadows on the field. It's
Used a lot.
beautiful.
USC used it a lot. They'll slide the tight end through, and it becomes pretty much a modern version of the triple option. So if that end crashes, you now with our new mechanics, you'll hold A, the quarterback keeps it, and then you're looking to throw or keep it depending on how they react on the perimeter. And another good thing about this is with college rules, you can extend that as long as you want. So as long as
There's
the
no
tight end,
ineligible receiver
as long as the tight end stays behind or at the line of scrimmage, you can throw it to him really late. You don't have to worry about that as much.
Interesting. I mean, and again, a reminder that those were just some of the styles. There's many more styles and many more teams with those styles.
I saw Wake Forest was on there. We have, their walking mesh. That's also something that we're continuing
Sam running the walking
to
mesh was so
improve,
brutal.
and getting the blocking schemes just right and making sure that that's good. So yeah, it's a good starting point. We're really excited and hope to continue adding and refining as we move on through the season.
I know chat is excited because seeing all these playbooks, it's really it's so much fun to see and so cool to see the authenticity. Thomas, appreciate you coming in. It definitely was not duplicitous. That means repetitive. So
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm here for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And when he makes a pitch for me never to come back, please have my back because
he sits next to me. So,
okay, cool. All right, good.
It's
Thank
okay.
Just real quick, I got to mention here, Thomas. One of the main reasons why we brought him on from the revamped team. This guy figured out how to make new plays in the old NCAA 14 game. Like just
Repping that revamped.
It was absolutely amazing to us who had worked on the old game and have been in. I've been in the industry 24 years now.
You're old, yeah.
To
We
see
know.
Oh, absolutely.
You are old.
I'm
You are
absolutely
old.
washed.
You
Yes,
are old.
I could be your father. Yes. But to see Thomas learning how to figure out how to break the game down in that way and add plays, it was such a mind-blowing thing. Just that work. And the work of those guys in Revamped and the work of everybody in the community keeping this game alive is why we're here today.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I
That's
guess.
so cool.
To thank the both of you guys for that.
That's so cool. Do you want to give out your Twitter in case people have any complaints?
No, I don't.
Okay, cool. Thomas, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Social media.
Appreciate
There you
you.
go.
Thomas Fleming, everybody.
Shout out
There you
TFCNY 97 right there.
Was that a?
That was a Discord name.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
I thought I heard TCBY, and that's a yogurt place, and
is.
I do love that.
Yeah.
I do love that. Let's see. Let's check in where we are. First of all, Sam Houston making the Bahamas Bowl, taking on Butch Jones's Arkansas State. I mean, come on.
It is going to be fun. I would love to go to this game
But
and
you
also
got-
watch it. Yeah,
so
but
let me see your job offers because
So, yeah.
you led a great a one-star team to what 10-3.
10 wins. I was supposed to win 4. I got 10. I'm having a great year at Sam Houston. Do I want to stay here and build it up, or do I want to look around what's going on? So let me look at what my offers are here. So we come in and we see, I could be the offensive coordinator at my alma mater, Florida State. That's nice. Or I could go to, be a DC at LSU, because that's one thing. I've been building myself up as both an offensive and defensive coach with my skills. So I'm getting some different offers here as well of what I want to do. You also look here. I'm the number one opportunity for North Carolina as an OC, or also Tennessee. I can go there potentially too. You kind of see where you rank on their list. One thing we tried to do with this is looking at kind of what's going on in the world and trying to keep up with college football. And you're seeing this kind of push where a G5 head coach might be leaving to go to be a coordinator at the power level. And so we're kind of replicating that here in a little bit. I didn't get any offers to other head coaching spots, but I could go up to that top level as a coordinator and then try and get my next job there.
But are we going to see Chip Kelly leave UCLA to come be a coordinator at Ohio State? 'Cause that was really cool for me.
These are the sort of things that make
Yeah.
us think about how we're going to change the game. We're always reacting to the real world. I think that's one thing that this sport will not stop slowing, and it does not slow down. And you think about when we started, it was a 14 playoff. Now it's a 12 team.
12 team.
You could only transfer one time. Now you can transfer every year. So we had to make these updates throughout the year based on the real world changing.
And the key thing here while we're looking at Ben's offers, right, is we got to remember this is a 4-week process now through the coaching carousel all throughout bowl season. So there's a little bit of game theory here or a domino effect that could take place as other coaches are moving for new jobs, right?
So
Ben,
these are just offered right now.
Right,
So,
these-
but I could change the menu, look at all jobs.
right, so this is what Ben's been offered in bowl week 1, and if he comes back next week, he may have a new set of offers, or he could have no offers, right, depending on what happens in the carousel and how that shakes out. So he's filtering here down to all openings, looking at head coaches, head coaching jobs that are open currently, and you can see there on the bottom right, we've got top candidates. So we can start with a little bit of game theory of if one of these coaches were to take that job, if they're offered it and able to accept it, then their job could then be open as an unexpected opening that he could potentially be a candidate for the following week, right? So in your evaluating offers, you want to keep that in mind of what could come open in the future. Yeah.
So it really is like you're seeing that domino effect of as I think because we think about it happening, but this is a 4-week process. So you don't have to take some of those first offers. You could wait to see what else comes along, and you might have a head coach opening in week 2 or week 3 of bowl season.
And it's a ripple effect too. Like once this job gets filled, that potentially is going to
Open up
open
a
another
different
job.
job, sure.
Right. So you kind of see that. And actually, I mentioned the Athletic before. I'll mention them again. They had a great article last week about the ripple effect of Nick Saban retiring, opened up Kalen DeBoer moving there, which opened up Jed Fish moving.
They put a lot of work
Opened up
into
all
this
these different
game.
pieces, and the same sort of thing is happening here. You will see throughout the course of the carousel new jobs opening up because other ones were filled.
So we're not gonna have you take any jobs. But
Oh, no,
let's go over to
hey.
console 2. You've got an opening at offensive coordinator. You got to fill that. So this is where you you could hire an OC in this first week, or you could wait to see who maybe opens up.
Yeah, I could. So if I go ahead here and I click hire coach, right, I can see a curated list of candidates that are there for Texas. And we can see here there's going to be some head coaches, right, like Ben was talking about, that progression path of some head coaches taking those Power 5.
This game is
jobs.
deep, man.
So we can go through here.
This Dynasty mode is deep.
Hire, there's also an offensive coordinator in there. So you can poach from other schools as well. And then occasionally there'll be a free agent coach in there as well. So we can go ahead and view their talent tree.
But that's going to be wild in multi-user leagues of like poaching coaches from another user team possibly.
So no user poaching.
So
quite
it's only from
only
the
CPU.
but you both could be targeting a CPU coach, and they could choose you
right?
over somebody
Because
else.
when we look at this, you'll see there's an interested schools bar there at the very bottom, who I would be competing with when I actually place an offer.
Congrats, good win. Good win in the Bahamas Bowl.
Congratulations.
Bahamas Bowl
Good win. He won the Bahamas Bowl, everybody. He won the Bahamas Bowl, everybody. And how was the Bahamas? Was it nice?
I mean, this time of year, lovely.
Beautiful.
Lovely.
Full season? Yeah.
So if we dive in here on one of these coaches, right, we can view their talent tree and we can see their spider graph of where they stack up, and then we can go ahead and see how that would actually play out with our current staff, knowing what we currently have on staff. Right. So we can go ahead and make an offer here. So we're going to make an offer, and then when we come back the next week, we'll see if that offer.
There's your new coach.
And Bahamas Bowl champion. I mean, who could have thought?
This is one of my crowning achievements in my career.
I would think so. Now, the other thing we have to talk about as we work
Says
through
offer
the
pending, though.
offseason is the brand new transfer portal.
Probably gotta do
And
his
this has
contract.
changed the game of college athletics. This had to be a big lift for you guys, just because this is something that when you talk about things that weren't there in 14. Transfer portal was not a thing, let alone transfers were so rare and so tough because you had to take that year off. Now they're happening all the time.
Yeah, transfers back in the old game were just kind of a kind of thing that was there because they actually happened, but they weren't the biggest thing that you would ever go after.
Yeah, so
Now
if we go to
it's a part of your
console
role.
one, you actually have a players leaving
Yes.
tab now. So this is after all the bowls.
Correct. So now we've hit the off season, players leaving. This is your opportunity to find out who from your team is potentially going to leave. And we've got one player, Gaines here, is
I'm
thinking
sorry.
about leaving.
Are you okay?
We'll see about this. I'm not sure if I
overall
want to get
defensive
rid of
tackle?
I mean, but also too with my roster, I might not be able to leave. He's a freshman also too, so we've got a lot of
Players
freshmen.
leaving.
I don't know if I want to lose this guy. I have 8 persuasions in total.
And
that
you
I
got the
can
only
use.
one here, so you might as well
graduation.
So I'm
try.
going to use it, of course. Yeah, why not? So I'm going to see what I can do.
Didn't
I have
like the
coach
playing
tools I can
style.
earn to try and improve my chances of this player.
Can you
leaving.
really persuade a
Those
guy
skills
like
broken down
that?
Based on his projected round, if he were
Come
to
on,
go
Jade.
pro.
Don't you want to stay a Bearcat with a K?
We're going to see. So we're going to persuade him.
Okay,
Well,
well, no, he doesn't want to
all
stay.
right, he's out.
The Bahamas
Not
trip was
persuaded.
not good enough for him. Look at all the transfers from Toledo. Good Lord.
Yep. So if we look at my console here, you can see like there's different. The transfer portal doesn't treat everyone so nicely.
Wow.
To say,
A lot of those guys didn't like Coach
It went
Prestige.
11-1, or 11-3, 7-1 in the
But
MAC,
Toledo.
and still look at all the transfers.
But this could have been because their coach took another job in the coaching carousel.
Interesting.
Right?
No persuasion
As I was
chance.
firing my coordinator, like their coach Prestige, if their head coach had a great year, he probably got a bump in Prestige. If he took another job elsewhere, that could have negatively impacted their coach, which is at Toledo. All these kids then go to the portal as a result. So
that
really,
is-
really cool ripple effect that takes
all of a
place.
sudden is the risk you have with firing coaches is you might lose a bunch of guys who were playing for that coach, playing for that prestige. Now all of a sudden you're losing players because you want to change. So you got to be really methodical with those changes. So if we look at console one, we got the transfer portal and off-season recruiting.
Yeah.
So there's 4 weeks of this off-season recruiting. So this is where you're going to get the transfer portal.
Yeah, so what this stage is, we've had the early signing period. So all those kids I had committed going into that early signing period are all with me, locked in. They're good. Their letters of intent are signed. They're not going anywhere. So what I have left to recruit with my remaining scholarships left, so I've got 17 out of my 35
Well,
done.
these guys
So I've got all
love
those
college
players
football,
here
and
that
I
I'm
love it.
after. These are my guys that are locked in. What I have to do now is decide, with these remaining high school kids, do I want to keep going after them? Or do I want to go over to this transfer portal and see who is available to me? Now, I've got my board filled right now at 35. So you're seeing every player is kind of like that. Those lines.
I'm
there,
only going to use the
add them
transfer
on.
portal
So I can go and
for
drop
my
players from
my
board to add
holes
some more, but
that
you
I
kinda see
couldn't
what
get with my
is
high
available
school
here.
players.
If we're looking at a quarterback that is interested in me, there's one, Anthony Walker.
Transfer
I might look
portal
at,
guys,
who's,
they're-
transferring in from
they're showing you
Nevada.
they're-
I could potentially go after him if I wanted to.
They
or take a
don't
look at what
stick,
else is out
man.
there,
As
but
soon
let
as
me
they get unhappy, they're gone.
total. Who are the top transfers from this class?
Shout out to Middle Tennessee State's quarterback.
My guy Avery, we were just talking about him.
Avery Johnson transferring from Kansas State.
Avery leaving Kansas State, Aiden Childs leaving Michigan State. So like that's kind of one of the fun things you'll see every year are which names pop up. Oh, Tate Rodemaker, former Florida State guy, now looking to make a move
If
again.
you use the
So
transfer
it's just
portal
kinda
as your
fun
main
seeing
recruiting,
what's
I
gonna
think you're
happen
going to have a
here in the
lot of
portal.
problems.
You know, we're running 2 different dynasties here, so Chad's going to have a different list than mine.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of fun every year to see who's in there. And I can go through and make those decisions of which high school kids I no longer want to pursue to make room to add these prospects to my board, these transfers to my board. And then if I were to do that, you have a limited 4-week window to transfer them. You know, I mistakenly called him Max Hall earlier, the old BYU quarterback, Max Olson from the Athletic.
Sure.
You know, he's their transfer guy, portal guy. We worked with him to understand how the portal works, and he always says recruiting is a 2-year experience at a high school. It's like a 2-week experience in you know, the transfer world.
Yeah.
So we kind of modeled that here, a very short window to be able to go in and try and get these kids committed to you that are transferring.
I want to get us to next season because I just want to show everybody custom schedules and custom conferences because that's a big deal. So let's advance this to the next season because I think that's something that everybody's interested about, especially in like multi-user leagues, being able to adjust the conferences, put everybody into one conference. We know that you can do that, but the custom schedules, that was something I always used to play with, especially back in the day, was changing the schedules. I might pick a bad team, but I want to put those powerhouses on my schedule to try to up my rankings. Back in the day when you just had to be the top of the rankings, there was no playoff.
Correct, yeah, and I mean, this is one of those things I think about, like we're trendsetters here.
So if we go to console 2, you can see the custom conferences, and this is your ability to change around the conferences and mix and match.
I'm pretty sure we were the first game to ever put in a feature like this way back in the day, and that was because the sport was changing so quickly that we wanted to be able to keep up with that. And also, too, you think about it with our hiatus, it allowed us to stay relevant throughout the course of that time.
Alabama
You can
in the
make
ACC?
changes.
Alabama's going to the ACC.
Can we add stuff to the Pac-12 though? They're the ones that are
Well,
they're struggling right now.
It is the Pac-2. Yeah. So we do start with the Pac-2 here. If you do, we do have a minimum of 4 in a conference that you can do. The Pac-2 is special in the way they're set up. If you do make changes,
They're going to try to rebuild the Pac-12.
The Pac-4 at that point, you've got to have 4 in there. You can't go below that. But there's just some things that we've had to do to build these things out, to make those custom conference changes. You can edit rules for the conference as well. So trying to make that customization piece, really try to make it what you want to. You know, a lot of conferences have gone away from having divisions.
Yeah.
Add them back if you want to.
Yeah, that's cool. You can see the
so just things like
conference
that that you can do that really help make this a unique experience going forward.
Let's
Every
get yours
offseason,
up a
you
week
do
because we
this.
can add Texas to your schedule because we're going to have, I think, on the Sam Houston one, we're going to see how Sam Houston does against a powerhouse in Texas. And this is where I think a lot of people have seen old college football games. They're very familiar with changing the schedules around and adding to it. And changing where you play the game and whatnot. So if you go to the custom schedules, this is just a great place to do that and add some players like Texas.
So just when you're starting your league, that initial creation is when you can do the first time of custom conferences. Then every off season, the last stage before the new year, you have an opportunity to make changes again. So just because you didn't do something in year 1 doesn't mean you can't do it in year 20 if you want to. But also every preseason, you have the opportunity here to come in and do custom schedules. In the world of college football, you've got conference schedules that are all locked. You can't change those. You can't change the location of them.
So let's switch out, like for example, let's switch out Hawaii and put in Texas.
Yeah, sure. So that's what you can do. You can come in here and take a look. Instead of playing Hawaii, we're going to open this up here and see all the schools that are available for me to play if I want to. I can make this an open date if I wanted to go play in week 0, for example. You can do that. But let's go ahead and see if we can find the old Longhorns here.
There
they are. All right,
Hey,
23.
Texas.
Coming in as 23 next year.
And we're going to Texas.
Yeah.
So
we'll
we're
play
going to get
a
this
game
battle. We're going to play this out gameplay style. But I noticed, listen, you guys had a great one. Bahamas Bowl. Didn't have any 5-star recruits come Sam Houston. That's okay. We've actually got a 5-star recruit that's going to come and take the stakes. But before you go, I just want to shake your hand and say thank you.
Firm handshake
I think
all
from
around.
all
Firm
the college
handshake.
football fans out there, we're so excited for this game, and we're so glad that you got to work on it, and we're so excited just to have the masses get their hands on this coming up Monday and Tuesday.
So much fun. I cannot wait to see everybody's reaction when they start playing this game. And I mean, it's just one of the things, we've been pinching ourselves every day for the last 3 years coming in and get to work on this and make this game and seeing each step come along the way. Now to see others playing it and see that look of joy on their faces that we've been having this entire time, it's so great.